Our next promising practice is focused on nonprofit and workforce development partnerships. Understanding the opportunities available in new workforce legislation, our presenter is another OIC colleague, Bernita Sims. In 2012, Bernita Sims became the first African American elected as mayor of the city of High Point, North Carolina. Prior to that, she served in numerous elected and appointed positions such as 12th Congressional District Chair, State Party Delegate Selection Committee Chair, and State Party Executive Council. Along with serving on the Board of Directors, Ms. Sims currently holds the position of Director of Programs and Human Resources at Welfare Reform Liaison Project.
I'm Bernita Sims. I'm the Program Director and Human Resources Director for Welfare Reform Liaison Project, which is a community action agency located in Guilford County, North Carolina. We happen to be the third largest county in the state of North Carolina. We're considered to be an urban area, but we have a lot of rural thought patterns. I have two takeaways from the two presenters before, and you know, following a preacher is a tough act. And then also following Mr. Sanyon is even worse. So when I look at it, I say, we talked about commitment, and I believe that it is important to be at the table when we're invited. And both of these presenters basically said they're in the midst of what's going on in the community. They're being invited to places, and when you're invited, you hear things. And when you pick up those things that you hear and you begin to act on it for those individuals that you serve, it's nothing like being there when it happens. You have to let people know that you're interested and engaged and you're ready to do whatever it takes to serve those individuals, which we call the least of these. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with the presentation, and then we'll talk on the back end a little bit about what our Community Action Agency does and how it partners with our local Workforce Development Board. Next slide. Who has the next one? Okay. Many of you may already have information regarding the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So I'm going to give a little background information as to how this happened, how it occurred, and what the takeaway is in your local communities regarding how it works. Of course, we know WIOA is the outcome of looking at and amending the WIA law. And with WIOA, basically it put together some different programming that says, as a local workforce development board, you will do business in this particular fashion. As a member of the Workforce Board in Guilford County, I've been a member since 2006 and served on the executive board probably for the last 4 or 5 years. So what it does is it unified some of the codes. It also incorporated some other partners into the workforce development system that heretofore had not been addressed. Part of that was your state voc rehab programs, some of your state-supported employment services programs, which are your community action agencies, and other local entities that do training and employment services. It did some miscellaneous program changes. It already addressed the youth part of what needed to be done, and then it did some Adult Education and Family Literacy Act training. Next slide. It identifies in the legislation those entities that are supposed to be partners in your workforce development centers and on your boards. So as a part of that, the law says that you must include community-based organizations on your workforce development boards. It tells you all the other partners listed. 51% of your membership has to be businesses. The other part needs to be community agencies, community organizations that serve individuals with employment training and services. Also, dislocated workers as a part of that, youth, Job Corps, Youth Build, Native American programs, and migrant and seasonal farm worker programs. So, as workforce development boards, we had to sit back, evaluate where we were, and then determine how we're going to move forward. So, in the identification of that, also in our state, in North Carolina, we combined our employment security services with workforce development, and we created what we call one-stop centers. So those are our job link centers in North Carolina. We happen to have 2 in our county. There's one in Greensboro, there's one in High Point, North Carolina. So we're serving a population of a little over 500,000 individuals between these two centers. And so the Wagner-Heiser Act, which is your unemployment or your ESC services, is a part of that center. Individuals go one stop. Also in the center, it includes, of course, your Community Action Agency, which is us. It includes your voc rehab. It includes your DHS folks. You have community college as a partner in the center. Your institutes of higher learning have the opportunity to come in. DHHS with their SNAP benefits, with our housing authorities, all are members or part of the JobLink Center. So if you go to the next slide. We are working very, very diligently with our veteran services. They are also a part of the entity that's located in the JobLink Center. And it takes a lot to work with our vets because they're hard to reach. A lot of them are already working and doing services through their service worker, but it's very difficult when it comes to employment services to work with individuals who are already in the process of receiving benefits through the Veterans Administration program. They don't see the value in actually going to work, getting the training, and they think that I've got my benefits, so therefore I don't need to do this. So, but again, it is a benefit that's available to them. If you go to the next slide, please. Next slide. So, a little bit about welfare reform. Welfare reform, again, there are 39 community action agencies across the state of North Carolina. In those community action agencies, they receive funding through the Community Service Block Grant Fund that actually details how and the services will work and what they will be offering to the community. We are obligated under our grant to serve people at or below poverty. And so in the process of what we do, we look at it and say, we have a year-long program that an individual enrolls in. We offer the following skills training. We offer soft skills training, which are your computers for job search, personal development, and effective communication, along with money smarts. We have an individual who comes in, and they teach them how to deal with this money once you get that job. How are you going to make sure you have the checking accounts, savings accounts? How do you pay your bills? How do you balance your checkbook? How do you make decisions and prioritize what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis once you effectively have that job? Along with that, we offer construction and electrical training. Construction has 9 certifications that come along with that program. We have CDL licensing, hospitality, digital imaging, a CNA program which is in conjunction with our community college system. It is offered through the system. We pay for the training. The system provides it. We do MediaWorks, which is an entrepreneurial track that offers photography, videography, and internet radio. Check us out at the website that's listed on the screen. We do interviews with local individuals as well as playing music, and not hip-hop though, but music. We have a real entrepreneurship training program that takes our individuals who don't want to go into traditional jobs and they have an opportunity to do entrepreneurial training, or at least learning how to be an entrepreneur. We do Job Club, which is resume writing, interviewing skills, job referrals. And then, of course, we have Project Reentry, which is an evidence-based program for pre to post services. So all of this happens in our organization. But the one thing that I can say is that we don't do this by ourselves. We have partners in the community that help with this process. So starting with our construction and electrical, our local workforce board actually pays for the training with our construction program. So the individuals who come in, it is a requirement that they must be assessed at the Workforce Development Board. That board determines whether or not they get the career readiness certification that we use as the benchmark for them coming into our program, taking some of this advanced skills training. So at this point, with our construction program and our electrical, you must achieve a silver certification. That's the first credential when you come into the program. And it's recognized by our funder, who says their whole program in terms of funding with us is based around credentialing and certifications. So the first credential coming in is your certification through career readiness. 3 of our programs are based on you achieving a silver level on that credentialing. That is our computers, our construction, our CDL program, and our certified nursing assistant. If you don't get a silver on that, we have to put you in a different training track. But the beauty of our program is we help you regardless of whether you pass this or not. So what happens if you have a desire and say, I want to be a real estate agency, well, we'll help you achieve that goal. We'll help you pay for that. We'll help you make that happen. So when you come to us, you work with your case managers, you determine what you're trying to achieve when you come into the program. This is what we used as a basis for making that happen. Now, with our local job link, the job link has determined, they come up with what they call a training policy, and the policy states what training they will pay for, how they will pay for it, what your requirements are on the back end, and they not only do they work with us as a community partner, but they also work with other nonprofits or not-for-profits in the community to make sure that this happens. So we're not the only agency that provides training programs. One of the requirements that when we went through with our local workforce board and we set up, what are we going to do as an agency? How will we move forward? What are we going to do to help those individuals in the community? We set up what those training policy would be and who we would be able to assist. The training has to be certified training that leads to a credential on the back end before the workforce board will pay for it. Now, we also went in and looked at, in Guilford County or in the region as a whole, what our occupational areas would be. What things will we focus on as we move forward as a workforce board to say, we will agree to offer to pay the training for these courses. So in the process of developing that, and this goes all the way back to 2005 when our area received a WIRED grant. Many of you may remember when the Department of Labor was granting this for innovative and creative ways to address the issues around employment in their communities. So as an outcome of the WIRED grant, we looked at those clusters that had been identified and said, where are the areas where we most need skilled workers? And so it ended up being one of those areas was in the healthcare field. We realized that there was a deficit in employment with healthcare. So now we look at that, and the Workforce Development Board now funds healthcare careers. We looked at the aviation industry. We went back and looked at our manufacturing. That was also in aviation as a part of that, construction. So we looked at these areas and said, what can we do to jumpstart and make sure that our individuals coming into the program actually can take advantage of the training that takes place in these clusters. So as a result of that, as we move forward, we brought Honda Jet in. Honda worked on a prototype for a new and smaller jet. They're finally in production. They're able to go. And before that happened, we probably trained over 2,500 people to go into the Honda Jet area and work on those machines, on the building that particular jet plane and the engine part of it. Now, what happened, those individuals that actually went into the Honda Jet and the aviation training program with Honda, they actually worked full-time jobs, and they went to Honda in the evenings. That's how committed they were to making sure they were a part of what happened in the aviation cluster. So we happen to have, because we have a local regional airport, lots of jobs in that area. TIMCO employs over 4,000 people in our area. And these individuals, based on the contracts that TIMCO has, they come in, they work, we train those individuals in that aviation cluster. You know, most of you may know, the city of High Point has the largest furniture trade show in the world. Well, as a process of that, some furniture left us. We're looking now that furniture's coming back. So we have a need in the furniture industry for upholsterers. We have a need for people in the furniture industry to do case goods. They found that when they outsourced our furniture manufacturing, that coming back into the country was difficult because it was sitting customs for weeks. You could not get the furniture back in. So that when they added up the cost of all that, it didn't make sense to continue to do this manufacturing overseas. So now they're beginning to come back into the United States to do the manufacturing that's required. So all of these jobs, as they've been identified, the Workforce Development Board is now working to make sure that we have individuals who are skilled enough to make sure the work happens. really deficit in upholstery. Just can't find individuals who are willing to do that. But with upholstery, you can make $1,000 a day, depending on who you're working for. So you can work 3 or 4 days a week and get paid a very, very good salary just to make a sofa. It takes you about 6 hours to make that happen. And if you're working high-end furniture, you can do $700 or $800 a day just for that one piece of furniture. So we're constantly looking at evaluating what's going on in our region, because we can't think solely about the county itself. We're a 12-county region that has lots of opportunities. We pull individuals in from those smaller areas or more rural areas who come into our county to work because they look at it as being, what's the word for it? Opportunities. They say that it's a cash-rich county. Hence, we get a lot of folks coming or being released from prison into our county as well. So part of what we do with reentry is the partnership is with our Council of Governments. Those individuals are released from prison. We have 2 reentry coordinators that work for our organization. When they come out, they work with us. They then get into our programs. We then talk with workforce development, so they're dual enrolled in our community action program as well as with the Workforce Center. That allows that individual, if they find something, some course of study, some skill set that they want to pursue that we don't offer, because of the dual enrollment, they're able to go to Workforce and say, we will go and get them to pay for this course based on the certification. So we're working very closely with all of our partners to ensure that we have enough on the table that everybody has an opportunity to at least eat, and that they have an opportunity to pursue something that they feel is important or that is going to make them a living wage. And that's how we look at it. Our program is 1 year. With workforce development, their programs go as long as 2 years. With some of the other partners, and we have quite a few of those between the Salvation Army, again, the Project Reentry Program, lots of partners that we feel that it takes all of us. As we talked about a village to raise a child, it takes all of these organizations to make that happen. Workforce in and of itself, I don't believe gets enough outside interest from others. I don't think that our business community really looks at workforce for what it offers and their ability to be able to assist when it comes to training. Most of them are not even aware of what all workforce development does. So it's important that we educate those business individuals as well. If I could get the next slide, please. So the responsibility of the Guilford County Workforce Development Board is the operation of the one-stop centers in these 2 major cities. The Workforce Board contracts that service out to a company known as ResCare. ResCare actually provides the day-to-day operations in those centers. They do all of the dislocated workers, they do all of the intake, they run all of the youth programs, they do it all. And it is a contracted service from the board to ResCare. Next slide. Again, we talked about 51% of the membership of the board has to be the business sector, and then there's a list of the non-business members, which include community college, representatives of labor organizations, economic development agencies, the Wagner-Pizer Agency, which is your ESC organization, and then representatives under Title I, which includes your voc rehab, your veterans, and also your community-based organizations. Our board currently sits at 28 board members, and all of them are very engaged and very involved in what happens with workforce development in Guilford County. Next slide. This funding is facilitated from ResCare to welfare reform in the following manners, and we've talked about this. The dual enrollment in both programs, we think that that is very advantageous to the individuals who participate with us. The career readiness certification along with the TABE testing, which then identifies what programs our participants are able to participate in. Now, it is a two-way street. We do accept individuals also from workforce development who enroll in our programs. So they're able to come in and partake of what we offer, and we're able to assist them in the same way that we do the clients who are enrolled with us. the Workforce Development Board pays the tuition cost for those individuals in the level 2 training, which are those that are listed, our construction program, our CDL training, and our certified nursing assistant program, which is held through the community, which is facilitated by the community college system. So now there's a three-way partnership we have going on, because we're bringing people in intake, workforce development is in turn paying for those classes, and then some of the classes are being held at the community college system. So now we've got three partners all sitting at the table talking about how we can make this happen for those individuals. So it allows us to expand our outreach, it allows us to actually work with more individuals, and allows us to be able to increase our outcomes to the funder that we have. Now, we talked about programs as it relates to the organization and the social enterprises. Our organization also has a product distribution center at our agency. In the product distribution center, we receive goods and services that come through a program that you all might have known a while ago, that you were able to purchase goods and services through, it's the, what's the name, Doc? Gifts in kind, yes. So we purchase those goods, we bring them into our organization, we process those goods, which is a part of our training. You process the goods. The goods are then shipped out to other organizations who purchase from us, but we also have a store. And in the store, our individuals who participate in our programs and others in the community who meet those guidelines are able to come in and purchase those items for what we call a service fee. So where you would go into a traditional grocery store and you would purchase paper products, or you would purchase diapers for your baby, or any of those things, we offer those items just for the cost it takes us to process the items. So that's our current social enterprise, and we're working on other ways on how we can serve the community and at the same time build that capacity to help take those dollars and help others who don't necessarily meet the income requirements for participation in our program. At this point, are there any questions regarding what we do, how we do it?
Thank you. I wanted to commend you for the great work you're doing in your area, but I didn't quite hear how you afford the opportunity when individuals do not meet the silver requirement.
What happens, we have certain courses that are designed specifically around the credentials. So there are other training opportunities that are offered through the organization that individuals can partake of that don't require the silver certification coming in. But we require all of the individuals who participate in our program to take the credentials, to actually take the testing leading to a credential. Part of what happens is, in some instances, we have the ability to go ahead and assist individuals even though they don't get the certification. So we have to look at that and weigh it and juxtapose it against what it is that person's actual training goal is and where they're trying to go. So in some instances, let's say a person might score a 9.5 on their tape, but it actually requires a 10. When we look at that, taking into consideration all of the issues that impact that person, the agency may go ahead and pay for that training for that individual, knowing that or recognizing some individuals don't test well. We try not to use that as the benchmark for why we go ahead and pay for that training, but there are some instances where individuals coming in, we can still assist. Again, our training is geared towards individuals who are at or below poverty. So very seldom do we have individuals coming in who participate in our program that are above poverty for the area that we live in. But we do have referral services we use. We can refer out to other entities that can help provide that training for them. And again, we can always, because of the dual enrollment, take those same individuals and refer them out to the Workforce Development Board. They don't have the same restrictions that we have as it relates to the income guidelines.
Good morning. My name is Natalie Frage from PHP, People Helping People. I have two quick questions. First, please explain more about the Real Entrepreneurship Program.
Okay, REAL is a copyrighted program. You have to have a certified REAL trainer to come in and teach. And basically what they do is they sit down with individuals and they first of all discuss what their entrepreneurial goals and objectives may be. And then they talk to them about incorporating. How do you do that? If you want to be a nonprofit, how do you make that happen? If you need to write a business plan, let's talk about what the components of a business plan are. How do we get there? And then we look at, during the research around how many other people are doing what you're trying to do, the realities of being able to start that business based on your background and other issues that may come into play. But it's a program that we offer. It's 6 weeks. We don't cap it at 6. If individuals want to stay a little bit longer, they can do that. But it basically helps you start your business. It talks about banking and loans and grants, and it just gives you the full plethora of what's available, what's out there, and how you move forward with starting your own business.
Okay. And second one is, what does the Money Smarts training consist of?
We have an individual who teaches that program who has worked previously with credit unions. And basically, they come in, and again, we teach individuals, they do some critical thinking in these classes. We talk about saving money. We talk about some of the advantages to knowing money, understanding finances, understanding what needs to happen when you first get out there and start making money. Let's say an individual decides, I want to go and I'm going to get a job as a hairdresser. Well, having you understand that that money's not your money. So as you make these dollars over the course of however often you work, you can't take that money and spend it the way you want to spend it, because you have to build a base that says, I'm going to pay myself a salary, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to know how to balance my checkbook. I'm going to be able to prioritize the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. And you're going to be able to say, at the end of the day, we talk about savings. How do I save money? How do I create that budget that allows me to also be building towards my future? Do you have health care? Do you have a pension? Do you have an IRA? How are you working with the money once you make it? Because a lot of these individuals, they live day to day. So in the course of what they do, their planning consists of, how do I make it through the month to do the things that I have to do? But they're not looking at it from the standpoint of, when I start to really make money, what happens and how do I manage that money once that happens? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Bonita, for your presentation.